Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We're holding in Menachos Daf Kufches. We're starting Daf Kuzayin and with base in the two dots towards the bottom. The Gemara says, Tanan Osam Shisho Lenado. So we're quoting over here a Mishnah in Maseches Shkolim that says over there that there were 13 shofars, 13 pushkas to put money in. And the Mishnah goes on to send 7 of them where they were for. There are different chayvas, different obligations need to be. Rashi brings over here. You have it's calling Tikkun Chatim, Tikkun Atikim, the old and new Shkolim. You have the Kinim, Goizelos, Eitzim, Levoina, Zav. Okay. Then it says Shisha Lenadov. There are 6 pushkas, that are used for what? For Nadava. What's it for Nadava? Donate money goes through there. Says the Gemara, connected me. This is connect. Why we have 6? So, the connected over here is not only connected, it's actually, in most of the Pirushim, is applied to that. What is it? Why 6? So we're going to see a few explanations over here. What is the reason for the 6? Number 1, Yechezkel, connected Shisha Batehavos HaKohanim shetiknu Chacham sheshom zemzem. We know that every Mishmar Kohanim came to Beis Hamikdash once for 1 week, and they split that each one worked one day, except for Shabbos they all worked together. So on Sunday there was different Beis Av than Monday, and Monday was different Beis Av than Tuesday, etc. When you have a Nedava, what you do with the Nedava? Nedava is called Kaitz HaMizbeach. You bring oilus with it. And what do you do with oilus? It goes on the Mizbeach, and who takes the heights? The Kohanim. If the Mizbeach is not bottle, if the Mizbeach is busy, so you don't bring this Nedavas. What do you bring to Mizbeach? How does Mizbeach become busy except for the Chayvus Hayyim? Mainly by Nedarim and Nedavas. Nedarim and Nedavas mean people come and donate animals. What do you do with Nedarim and Nedavas? Usually they are Shlamim. What happens to Shlamim? You put in the Mizbeach, you put the meat, who takes the hide? So the Mizbeach takes the Imurim, Kohanim take a piece of meat. Who takes the hides? The owners. So here comes a fight. Let's say on Tuesday came a group from Lawrence to go visit. They all brought the Nedarim and Nedavas. So on Tuesday the Kohanim are getting no hides. But on Wednesday there was no Nedarim and Nedavas. So what do you have in his back? You have oilers. You have to take from the Nedava. So who they get the hides? So they're gonna have fights. The Wednesday one tells the Tuesday one was not fair. Why? The Tuesday will take the Wednesday one. I didn't get any heights. So therefore, they made sure that they put the Nedavas equally in 6 different pushkas. And the way some of the first explain means, let's say on Wednesday, Tuesday didn't need it. So Wednesday, whatever they use from the Tuesday pushka, they give it to the Tuesday Beisav. So that's to make sure it's divided equally. Regardless
how many korbanos.
What?
Regardless how much korbanos were given?
Yeah, that day. Because we split it equally. So even if on Tuesday they didn't bring the kite to his back, so if you use it on Wednesday from the pushka of Tuesday, so then you pay the Tuesday.
You're telling they're separating equally.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from?
So we'll see. The Gemara is going to mention in a moment, this Nedavas is usually extras. We'll see extra money. Let's say someone took money for Chatos and he put $100 aside, cost only $97, it's $3 extra. $3 extra goes to there. Example, that's one of the examples. Rabbi Yechezkel, that's Pshat number 1. Pshat number 2. Rabbi Yechezkel says a very practical thing. If you put too much money together, it gets rusty. So they split it to be a little more air. That's Pshat number 2. Pshat number 3. The Zirama can get par, the egel, ayil, the keves, kdi, the seir. The 6 animals that you bring for Ayla. So the idea would be, if someone came and donated, or he had extra to use for a par, use for a par. If you have for egel, use for egel. So the more Rebbe, that's why it connects to our Mishnah. That's why you have to have 1 pushka for egel and 1 pushka for par, because if not, just bring par. And it includes everything.
Gideon seer or oilers?
Yeah. We saw there on the top. I made a mistake yesterday. The Gedi is a young goat. is a kid. So Gediv. So Gediv is saying small and big goats. That's trial number 3. Trial number 4. Papido Amar Keneged Haporim Ve'aelim Ve'akvosim Ve'aseirim Ve'ametoras Ve'amo. So these are 6 different donations, meaning you have extras. As Rashi says, Parim is Chatas Tzibur that got lost, and then they had to replace it. Then they found the original one. That's Par. Eilim is At Osham Gzelus Osham Meilos. Even Hashamas, they got lost. Then the Kavasim, and Dav Kavchezim Lav on top, is the Osham Nozi Osham Mitzayva. And the Seirim is Siri Chatas Tzibur. All of you have extras. Ve'amotoros is anybody who thinks he has too much money. Ve'hamo, Rashi explains the kolbon. When you learn Masechet Shkalim, is when 2 people bring together a shekel, they have to add something called a kolbon, that goes over there. Now the Gemara says, from these 4 Perushim, why they didn't disagree with each other. Kol Yechezkel or Amra, they did the first shot, they have to have each one for each, but they have. It says more than we're not going to fight. Each one is focused on that day. So the guy on Wednesday is not trying to look at the Tuesday guy got the hides or not. They're not chayshish for the money getting rusty. Because according to Zir, you want to put different animals, you have to put the small and big, because we don't have that many animals. So that works only according to Rebbe. What do you mean you have a pushke for moistures, which was extra money? Everybody thinks it's a moisture. Because we're talking always about extra. So there's no reason to have a pushke for that. And the extra money that you give, what's called a kolboin, goes into the pushke of the shkalim. It's machlekes if it goes to shkalim pushke or to the nadav. Shmuel, now we get to 5th shot. Keneged moisor chatos umoisor osham. So you have here it's similar. You have to go into each one to explain why there's some differences. But is the extra chatos, you have money left over, as Rashi says, and moisor osham, and for regular osham, moisor osham nazir, moisor osham mitzayva. You split the nazir and mitzayva because they're not exactly the same. The nazir allows them to go and drink wine or be mutter, and the mitzayva is to make it not tummy. Minchas choite, the extra of a minchas choite. So we saw that because it's called the chatos. Moisa asir seif is kohen gadol. The extra of the kohen gadol also. All these extras, that's the 6 pushkas. Shaya Omar Kerega, very similar. He says to Shmuel, but it changes like this. He says Moisa chav the Moisa osham like Shmuel, Moisa osham nazir, Moisa osham mitzayva. Again, like Shmuel. Umoisa kinim, umoisa michas choites. Michas choite, everybody agreed. But he changes, instead of the asir seifo, he says moisa kinim, which is the birds.
But each box is for a specific one?
Yeah, for the extra of that one.
It's a specific
right.
one.
Then understand why they're arguing with the other ones. Each one has a reason why they're arguing with the other shittas. So you have 2 new shittas. Shmuel Ma'atam and Lama Kabishai, we're focusing only on the 2. They're very similar. The only difference is Sir Seif and Kinim. It says in more Kinim, Tanya Lereisha, we have Kinim. We spoke about Kinim in the 13 Shayfers, one of them was Kinim. Rishai Tani, Veloy Tani, Kinim. So Rishaya did not mention Kinim as one of the Choyvis. Fatani Rishaya, Tani Kinim. We did find Rishaya say Kinim. Chad Kinim, Chad Lemoysa Kinim. One is the Kinim itself, the birds that a woman brings. The other one is for the extra. Rabbi Shayo, my time will learn about Shmuel. Why does Rabbi Shayo say Shmuel? Why he said Kinim and not the Asir Seif of Kohen Gadol? So like Moisa Shasir Seif of Kohen Gadol, you rock it. He says, what do you do with the extra Kohen Gadol? You let it spoil. Tanya Moisa Michas Nedava Moisa Mincha you rock it. It says Nedava Michas Nedava and Mincha you rock it. What does it mean? I come. Omar Chista. I come. Moisa Minchas Choyte Nedava. The extra of Minchas Choyte goes to the Nadav. Moisa Asir Seif of Kohen Gadol you rock it. When it says Mincha refers to Kohen Gadol, tell me it spoils. Rabbi Mafilu Moisa Asir Seif of Kohen Gadol Nami Nedava. No, that also goes to the Nadav, the extra. Ela Moisa Lachmei Toida you rock it. The extra of Lachmei Toida, that you go, that goes to spoil. it's on a chatos, right? Says the Gemara, beplukto, millions of machlekes. So what do you do with the Kohen Gadol Sir Sefer if you have extra? That's the machlekes. So one may say, Moisa shkolim v'chulin, Moisa shkolim chulin. Extra shkolim is chulin. If you didn't have right you had too much. He put too much shkolim, and it was you don't need so much, so it's chulin. Moisa Sir Sefer. Moisa kini zovim kini zavois. So you have the extra Sir Sefer. Or the kini yoldois, chatois, shamois, all this Moshe Nidava. The extra or Nidava. Ma'ila Moshe Asir Sefer Kohen Gadol. It says Asir Sefer. Masha Kohen Gadol. Similar, Moshe Minchas Choite. Talk about that Asir Sefer Minchas Choite. That goes on Nidava. One out by YouTube, Mistabek Random Moshe Asir Sefer Kohen Gadol Yirok. It makes sense. It gets spoiled. Tani lo similar Hashem and V'loiten Alei Levoino Ki Chatos Hi. That's what it says about Minchas Choite. That's Asir Sefer of Minchas Choite has the name of Chatos. Nothing else has a Chatos. Even Asir Sefer Kohen Gadol Sheina Kriya Chatos. So it doesn't have the name of Chatos, has Levoino. In a Kriya Chatos, Moitrei Yoke. Why is that so? Because the idea of Moiser goes to the Dava that we learn it from Chatos. Rashi brings it earlier. That it's a drush of Yodo HaKoyin that's mentioned in Maseches Temur. So belongs over there. But in general, the Moiser is Yirakev, meaning that you have in other words, if it's not a Chatos, so the extra goes to waste. There was only drush that told us that the extra goes to the Dava. It's not speaking about Chatos. It has to be a Chatos. So the Mishnah, Shor ze oilo v'nistayv. The person comes and says, he points on an axe and he says, this animal is going to be a oilo. And what happens? Nistayv means it gets a mum. It's a blemish. Im rotzo yovi b'domo shnayim. If he wants, he can sell it. And with the money, he's going to bring 2. Because this one became Baal Mum. It was already Muchad.
It was why you were punishing, so buy another one. Why 2?
You can buy as many as you want. Meaning, even though we said before that when you say a certain carbon for a certain money, you have to bring that carbon, he did it. He was yoitze what he did. Elama, I got a blemish. So now I'm redeeming it. To redeeming it, I don't have limitations. I can do 2 animals as well. Now, Shnei Shvorim Eiloilo, he put in 2 Shvorim. So these will be oil. Finistav, who became Balmum, same idea. Rotzev, you with me, Mechot. I can bring 1. I can take the money and bring 1. For Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi says, don't do it. Rashi says even right away, lechatchila. So you should not do it. But if he brought it, it's Yotzer.
Different if you would say Oila Zu, no?
Yeah.
If there was no blemish, that was the previous Mishnah. If it takes an animal with no blemish, he says, I need this to be oilo, or even I'm going to bring with the money oilo, it's the only one. But now this animal got a blemish. So he made it oilo, but now it's a blemish. So what do I have to replace it with? I can replace anything I want. That's according to the Tarakam. Rabbi says, no, you have to be consistent with your original nether. You said 1, bring 1.
So Rebbe's arguing on both cases.
Oh, we'll see in the Gemara. Very good. So he says, Ayil ze oilo, this ram is oilo, v'nistayv, you got a mum. In Rotza Yovi Badam of Kevis, he can bring something less. So before he spoke about 2 and 1. Now he's saying you bring something which is lower. Kevis oilo v'nistayv got a mum. In Rotza Yovi Badam of a bigger sheep. For Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi says you can't do it. Similar idea we'll see in the Gemara. Says the Gemara in Daf Kuf Ches Amud Beis. Ve'omad Reisho Shor Money Vivi Shnayim Money Lo Yotzo. That's a question really everybody here is asking. He asked the same question. You said if I say Shor Money, I can't bring 2. Says the Gemara Shor Zimni Stav Shani. If I said this to Shor, and now we have it's not anymore a nether, it's a Nidova, and now they got a mum. Okay. So, as Rashi says, Ozeli Nidre, the nether left, there's no nether anymore. Shtei shvoi elu oilu istabu rotzev yidmeim echad Rabbi Yosef, my time you should have like godo v'hivi koto. He said, it's like bring big and small. Rabbi says you have to stay consistent with your original idea, the original nadav. Says more of Rabbi the same should be in the ratio. So when you're right, Rabbi Akulu Milsapolik, he's arguing on all cases. You wait for them to finish their sentence and then he argued. Teida, how do we see that? That's the end of the Mishnah of Rabbi Yosef. Meaning what? The beginning of the Mishnah, he's arguing on one, they brought two. Meaning he made it less of a value, each one. The end of the Mishnah, he's arguing on something which is small, he brought it big. So he's arguing in two opposite cases. Because he's arguing in all the cases. He's arguing in both, in other words, all four cases of the Mishnah is coming to argue. Says the Gemara, Ibailu mimino limino mai. What happens if he wants to bring, we're talking about he bring one ox brings two oxen. He wants to bring a small animal, he brings a big animal. Can I bring from a keves a shor? Says the Gemara, Toshmat shor ze oilo ministayev lo yovi b'dom of ayil. You can't bring an ayil with a shor. I'll be b'dom of base ayil. Bring two elim because you want to replace the big shor with two elim. Rashi says the cotton you tell me that it's too much of a discrepancy. He said a huge animal, he brings something small. He brings two is fine. Rabbi Yosef Yishayin ain bila. So what is Rabbi bothered by? The mincha. The bila is a mixture of a mincha. And if you bring in two different animals, each one has his own esachim, has his own mincha. So if each one has his own mincha, you're not going to be able to mix it. So you said you'll bring one, you bring in two, and then you can't mix the menachos. So the animals, I don't care. But the menachos, I do care.
Why is this case different than the case in the Mishnah where the case in the Mishnah where he said ayils at oila, and then if you want, you could bring a kevis. Here the Rabbanan are not letting you bring,
because it's too much of a discrepancy. That's what Rashi says. Between a short,
meaning ayil to kevis they would allow, but
short to kevis not.
Short to kevis.
Right. So he says, okay. And Rashi says, now the Gemara understands that. The menachos are different than animals. So Rabbi says you can't do menachos. Why? Because menachos come from your house. You're not like replacing it. So it's too much of you changing what was told you. So let's go Shvaminus. What do you see from here? You see from here that you could replace from one mean to another mean. Yachi ma'ir trei afil chad nami. Right? The Gemara is asking. So the Gemara asks, I mean, the truth is, I said it wrong. Even though Rashi sounds like that. The Gemara is telling you that why you need two elim? He says you can bring big and small. That's your question. You could come from a keves to an ayil. So you're right. It's a machlokes according to Rabbanan. So one sheet that says you could go.
This is one sheet, and now this price is.
Yeah. Not that it's different to the bigger one and small one. If you see, even though Rashi says the cotton you Yisem Yidai. So it's not mashma that way. Okay. Says the Gemara. Meaning it sounds the Hiyachi in Rashi, because if so, that you could change from mean to mean, why do I care that it's big as well? Okay, that's it. Rabbi Yosef Yishayin Bilo. So the more time of day in Bilo, look at the next Rabbi. Hayesh Bilo Shari. Now if you can mix up, it's okay. Rabbi Yosef. He's also even if it's only one animal. So more treat and never leave the Rebbe. So it comes out, our Mishnah says the Rabbanan agree that you can change from big to small. The second Brayah says you can't do from big to small. Our Mishnah holds according to Rebbe, you can't change from one animal to another. The Brayah says Rebbe is more lenient, you could change from one to another, only with Menachos you can't do it. Says the Gemara with Toirim, Egel v'hivi par, if it's tar, meaning not a balmum. Egel v'hivi par, kivas v'hivi ayil, yotza.
Even according to Rebbe?
Yeah, what?
Even according to Rebbe?
No. So the Gemara stomach Rabban. No. According to Rabban, it can be for a small and to a big one. So, but Ta'im only if you go bigger, not if you go small. This is he said, this shore is oil, so I can go and replace it. If he has a mum. But if he says it's on me, hukva. So why? If you means it's on me to bring it. But if you got a mum, it's over. He said this shore is oil. Either or it's good. He said this shore I have to bring, or it's money. What do you mean it's money? If you get some mum and you place the money, you have to bring as one. So that I can't go and do two, because you're basically very specific that you have to use the money for that one animal. So the Mishnah, Ha'omer, Echad mikivsei mikvosai hegdish, Echad mishoyirai hegdish. It says one of my sheep is hegdish, one of my oxen is hegdish. Fayul l'shnayim, he has two. Hagodol shebeim hegdish. You say he meant the bigger one. Shloisha, he has three. Beinoni shebeim hegdish. The middle one is hegdish. We'll see in the Gemara why. We'll see. Oh. Pirashti ben Yediyah Masha Pirashti. I don't know what I said. Oy Shalmar li Abba ben Yediyah Ma. My father told me. Hagod l'shbei megdish, because the father for sure, the father in his deathbed. So I should give the big one. And if he doesn't know, you're also assuming that he gives the big one. So Al Magdish by Nofu Magdish. That's a sound. You have to be the big one. If I say ben Yediyah Megdish, Al Magdish by Ro Magdish. So what do I Benoni? Umashmul Choshishim Af LeBenoni. Meaning, he said, I'm giving three. He has three animals, I'm giving one. Which one? Either the biggest one or the middle one, because the middle one is bigger than the smaller one. So he always wants to give Hegdish better, but I don't know how much better. So I'm choishish to both. So he's going to do it. Meaning it's either or. For sure he didn't give more than one, but which one we don't know. Meaning, you wait for it until it gets a mum, and then you will replace the small one, the middle one, with the big one. You say, if I meant the middle one, so I'm poided with the big one, and if I meant the big one, so the small one is nothing. Yeah. In other words, the answer to the Gemara is Ayin Yafa is relative. It may be relative. Does Ayin Yafa mean absolute Ayin Yafa or relative Ayin Yafa? Says the Gemara, so one of my sheep.
It didn't say, I'm going to give one of my sheep.
Yeah.
So why do you have to be Paida and the Benny, whatever you give?
No, so we have to know which one did he mean.
You can ask him what he means.
No, he doesn't remember. For this question, the question he doesn't remember. So I said, I don't remember what I meant. I don't remember. Or even if he does remember, it could be it's too late to come and explain it, as you saw in the dark. But he doesn't know. So that question is, what do you mean? Ayin Yafa. Ayin Yafa is what? Is it relative or is it absolute? So one of my oxen. It means the ox. He meant that when you say the, it's the biggest one. Not the short, my short, I mean the biggest short. This we saw in Meseches, I thought it says in the dark. But I'm selling you a house, in my house. He shows him the aliyah. The one that says what does aliyah mean? The attic. The griya, he gave him the worst one. Loy. Aliyah means uli shabatim. He gives him the best house. The best house. It's that's the best. That's what it's doing. The biggest one is kodesh. You sell all the rest for oilus. So what do you see? You see over here that if you got, we don't know which one it is. You don't assume it's the biggest one. So we know I don't know when I have a shore, they got mixed up. But the first one you don't say that you know which one it is. The biggest one, that's what he meant. It's the same case. Meaning, in both cases, you're giving the biggest one to Hekdesh. In the first case, it's a definite. In the second case, I got mixed up. I don't know which one it is. I have a shor, regular shor of Hekdesh got mixed up. I'm assuming the biggest one is Hekdesh, and I redeem the other ones for the biggest one. I just go to Chumrah. So suppose I'll give you my house. A house in my house. Again, the best house. And there is a house that broke down. Mareo Nofel. You show the one that broke down. I have a slave, my slave. One of his slaves died. My Rebbe said, that's what I meant. Says the one that doesn't die. Why are you giving that back? Let's see if it's the best one. You always give the best. Says the girl, a buyer always loses. In other words, you can't give more than, it's like a moisty chaver of a rice, so to speak. Look at the shtar. So you know that's the reason you give him less. So by Aliyah, by the second floor, so we're talking about second floor, an attic. Because we're talking there about a buyer, and therefore the Yad Tachtoino, and that's what it is. So we'll stop over here. Peace Hashem. Continue for you tomorrow.